Good afternoon, San Francisco. You know, I've always had a special affinity for a place I've always known as the city, because this is where my great-grandfather immigrated when he arrived as a young adult from the island of Sicily. My beloved grandfather, who taught me so much about life, was born here. And as commercial fishermen, they moved further and further into the Delta until eventually settling in the port city of Stockton. Stockton is where my story begins in 1956, in a town clearly demarcated by social, economic, and racial barriers. Red line policies and home-over covenants, similar to common practices in many American cities, corralled non-whites to the south side of the city, while economic and social factors limited poor whites to the east side. Throughout my K-12 and my college education, at the Humboldt State University and the University of the Pacific. Got some Jacks in the house, all right. My fellow students and teammates were primarily white and from upper and middle class homes, and my teachers and professors were overwhelmingly white. During my time on Earth, many things have changed due to the incredible sacrifice and efforts of others, while many things remain the same. When I returned to my hometown to start my career, I entered unfamiliar territory, as the effects of forced busing for school integration, along with the influx of new citizens from Southeast Asia, a rising population of Hispanic students, resulted in white flight to private schools, school districts north of Stockton and in surrounding communities. This changed the face of a student population that didn't reflect my upbringing. In fact, within my lifetime, Stockton has become the most diverse large city in the United States. To reflect the changing demographics, Amos Alonzo Stagg High School, the school I graduated from in 1974, has a student population of more than 90% non-white and more than 80% identified as socioeconomically disadvantaged. These demographics are the norm for every public high school in Stockton and in most high schools in large urban areas, as well as certain rural areas. Despite these demographic changes, many things remain the same as the opportunity gap continues as the glaring impediment to the survival of our democratic society. Moving to Oakland with my Oakland native wife in 2020 after retirement has only reinforced the challenges faced. As in the Bay Area, all you have to do is go up or down a hill, cross a bridge, or drive through a tunnel to witness the disparities in resources and expertise that our students face on a daily basis. The greatest threat to our 246-year experiment in democracy is continuing to leave young people by the wayside with few options for success. It's easy to be oblivious to the needs of our most vulnerable students, as public education is a reflection of our inequitable society. It has come to the point where the factors leading to the opportunity gap seem as normal now. And although many want to deny that the gaps exist, these are our reality. Educational absence has become one of the most glaring mirrors, and it's up to us to determine what we want to see when we look in that mirror. The only route to breaking the grip of an inequitable society is to level the playing field by providing an equitable education for all students. The truth is, the students referred to as those kids, the ones that are on the starting blocks or even in the locker room through no fault of their own while others are passing the 50-yard line, those kids are in fact our kids. But there is hope. There's a path forward to change, and it is the advancement via individual determination, college, and career readiness system. It is the ray of hope in bridging the opportunity gap. The essence of AVID, everything the system stands for, is about leveling the playing field and closing the opportunity gap. The evidence of hope is here in this room. You can see it, and you can feel it. And you can feel it in every community of practice, and every time AVID teachers get together. However, there is a growing and popular movement within our nation to deny our history to erase the past. But we have to recognize where we have failed in the past and in the present in order to succeed in the future. Who controls our past controls our future. In the words of James Baldwin, to accept one's past, one's history, it's not the same thing as drowning in it. It's learning how to use it. An invented past can never be used. It cracks and crumbles like clay under the pressures of life, like clay in a season of drought. The Montgomery bus boycott, the Little Rock Nine, the University of Mississippi riots, Ruby Bridges escorted by federal marshals, George Wallace standing in front of the door of the University of Alabama, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., all occurred before I was 12 years old. The Mendez versus Westminster and the Brown versus Board of Education court cases mandating educational access equal occurred only a few years before my birth. I grew up oblivious to all this as it didn't affect my sheltered life. In fact, when our Little League practice was threatened to be canceled, the night that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated due to civil unrest in the city, it was my first inkling that something was amiss in America. Now, we talk about providing a brave space for students in AVID, but as educators, it's essential for us to develop a brave space as well in order to continually transform to meet the needs of our students. The breakdown of our social structure has removed from our students many of the opportunities for mentors outside of a school setting. As a result, oftentimes it's up to us as educators to be the difference. This is where AVID enters. The chances are that most of us who chose education as a profession come from a different background than many of our students. This certainly doesn't mean that people that look like me and perhaps you cannot be an effective teacher in a diverse classroom. But it takes the willingness to be uncomfortable in the learning process, to be vulnerable and open to feedback when we err, and we will err, to listen to additional points of view, to believe in the humanity of every student and family, and to honestly communicate without fear or apprehension with our colleagues, our supervisors, and especially our parents. It takes a willingness to be brave. I'm not here to say I have all the answers because it's an individual journey for all of us. And I've erred many times over my career, particularly when I lacked bravery. But for those of us like myself who have been given much, we have much to give. When I was introduced to AVID late in my career, it was a final piece for me to understand that diversity is like adversity, essential to build strength. I've been blessed with 5 high school-age grandsons, and because they grow up in present-day Stockton, they're much stronger for their experiences in diversity. They won't have to be plagued with the misconceptions and fears that have taken decades for me to partially dismantle. AVID provides practical training in what students need with the triangle of student agency, rigorous academic preparedness, and opportunity knowledge, centered by the overarching vision of relational capacity to authentically connect with students. AVID teachers leverage students' backgrounds and experience to master content in a more personal way. AVID teachers believe in high expectations, changing what students, parents, and school systems believe is possible. AVID teachers guide students to believe in themselves in order to handle the most rigorous courses. AVID teachers relate to all students. AVID teachers know that all students are capable, often challenging core beliefs. This is what our students need. AVID promotes collective educator agency and provides our blueprint for change. Each one of us possesses the most important voice in public education. Unleash your voice. The sacrifices of those who came before us and fought for equality are really difficult to fathom today. Yet these individuals, many who we know by name and story, and others who sacrificed in anonymity, provide the inspiration to create the change for equitable access. It's going to take a majority of us to recognize that all students, regardless of their zip code, their social status, their race, their religion, their gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, or ethnicity be given the same opportunities. This won't happen without brave educators. If we are brave, and if we truly believe in the mission of closing the opportunity gap, change will finally take place. The possibilities are endless. Never underestimate the power of a single teacher to change a student's stars, or of a coordinated system to close the opportunity gap. Imagine the possibilities. Thank you.